Hello everyone and welcome back to Project Ozone Reloaded Titan Mode. I'm Bobbin and you're watching episode 7. Unfortunately I had a mishap on the prior attempt to record this episode. This is the second attempt. And so a lot of the stuff that got done sort of got done without actually being captured on camera. And these things happen. I really hate that you kind of missed it. I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I did and maybe do a little extra something to sort of cover it. So, in the quest journal, we don't have any quests done right now because I already did them all. But here's what happened. First of all, Epsilon got opened up. It got opened up, and Epsilon is all about, let's take a look here. Pneumatic craft and what does it say here? Mechanism. And you know, I don't really see all the familiar. I mean, this branch is mechanism, but I don't really see the machines I'm most familiar with here. So it may be that the graphic has changed some. Yeah, the graphics have changed some on mechanism from the last time I played it. Okay, in alpha, I finished up automatic sieving, and the way I did that was if we look at the speed upgrade, there are actually two recipes for it. One of them is the one that I was looking at before that requires blitz powder, which I don't have and I don't have any good way to get. Well, there is another recipe and it is actually more complicated than this one in some sense. If you had the blitz powder, then this one would be the easiest one by far because you can make Invar and Electrum, which are the other two components of this recipe, in the alloy furnace. Or not in the alloy furnace, in the Tinker's Construct smeltery, and I've done that before. The alloy furnace is the way to go for the other one. Why do I get lost on that? And it requires 3 different alloys made in the alloy furnace. And I did make an alloy furnace, and I made a sag mill, both of which just required a component that I made at the end of the last episode in the QED. So they were fairly straightforward to make, and because I had that, I was able to go ahead and make all the upgrades for this and finish the Civ quest. The hemp quest was the other one on this page that got done. It had already been completed because all it required was that you break grass to get hemp seeds and that you make an engineer's hammer, and I had done both of those long before, so that one was actually already done. It just wasn't showing as done because it had a prerequisite. On the beta chapter, I don't think there was anything new this time around. I hadn't actually done anything to make any progress on this. But on the gamma chapter, I think I went ahead and completed the storage drawers one. Maybe I did that one before. Storage drawers, wooden spikes, and QED are the ones that are done here, and I know we did the QED on the last episode, so maybe none of these got done. Now I have made one culinary generator, so this one is done, but the quest has not unlocked yet, so it's not showing. The culinary generator is parked right here. It's consuming toast sandwiches, and actually what I'm making right here in the alloy smeltery right now is more toast, or bread at least. I've been using the sag mill to grind wheat and the alloy smeltery to bake bread. That's sort of what I'm switching to for my food supply, and it's also what I will use in the short term to fuel culinary generators, because I'm going to need more of those. In the Delta chapter, this is where the most stuff got done, I think. At the end of the previous section, I had made the machine chassis in the QED. Well, I went ahead and made the sag mill, and I made the alloy smelter. And because I had them available, and because I needed to do that other quest that involved some of the alloys, I made a bunch of the alloys and turned them in. I didn't actually turn them in right away. I turned them in when I did the filming of the episode that didn't get done, but I did make them and turn them in. They're all just alloys made in the alloy smeltery. When you do the alloy smeltery, I will mention that it's a good thing to use this button right here to switch to alloying when you're doing alloy, because a lot of the recipes are a little unfamiliar and it will eat some of your components if it's in furnace mode and you put them in the wrong order, so that's kind of nasty. But anyway, we do have a culinary generator here. I just upgraded one of the survivalist generators. That does mean more power. Beyond that, I've been moving stuff downstairs. And so I've got more storage drawers here than I did have. I'm not using a compacting drawer at the moment. I really need to make more compacting drawers, but they require 2 ender pearls each. When I do that and get a logistics pipe system set up, this will be the input chest to the sorting system. At the moment it's got a lot of stuff that needs sorting in it, but I'll have to make storage drawers and chests for that. The other thing that I've been doing is I've been mining in the nether extensively. I have a huge amount of netherrack now because what I did, when I built my nether gate, it went onto a ledge over a lava lake, and it's not the worst configuration like that I've ever seen, but I always hate when it positions that way because you're deathly afraid that a ghast is going to blast at the gate and it's going to blow a hole in the layer and you're going to fall into the lava lake, and that's just going to be awful. The other thing that I had a problem with in the nether is that there's really nowhere to run close by where you can get to like a solid mass of netherrack to start excavating and mining. So what I ended up doing was I built a big box around the nether gate and dug a hole in the bottom of the box and the platform and just sanded in a 4x4 chunk of sand all the way down to the bottom of the lava lake, and then in the middle of it dug a hole down with a ladder going up. And so I did all my mining down at the bedrock layer, and I got quite a bit of ore. I made a bag of holding to help transfer on the trip and found that it just wasn't enough, and I started going ahead and using caches to gather up the netherrack. But the bag of holding is holding the ores that I got, and I got a ton of different ores in the nether, so a bunch. What I was specifically looking for was ruby and peridot, and I think I have some of both in here because I got some more on the last trip that I made. It won't be many. What do I have in very small quantity? There's ruby, and peridot was the more important one this last go around. Something that I have almost none of. Where? Oh, I've already ground up my peridot, I think. Let's take a look. Yes. The best way to process these in the short term is to use the sag mill. You'll get 5 of the appropriate gem from each one of these if you toss it in the sag mill. Let me just do that right now with these rubies. I don't need rubies at the moment, but I do need peridots. Time to bake more bread. Because what I need to do is I need to finish this quest over... Where is it? These chapter names are a little bit confusing because they just don't carry any information, just letters of the Greek alphabet. Okay, I want to finish the assembly table. And the assembly table is kind of a funny one. It wants you to make one assembly table, which I've already done. It didn't register when I did it. And for some reason, even though I'm still very early in the game here and don't have the power system to drive them, it wants you to make 12 lasers. And I didn't have 12 lasers. I only had enough materials to make 9. One of the materials that I'm going to need that I haven't processed yet is some more diamonds. I got quite a bit of diamond ore in the nether. Let's see. Somewhere here. It's kind of bluish and it won't be in a huge quantity, but I did get a bunch of it and I have not processed it, so it should be in here somewhere. Just do it this way. If you double click the box, it will highlight the items in your inventory that it searches, and everything else is dark. I always double click it back because I don't like that dark look. Okay, so I have 11 nether diamond ore here. Let's see what the best way to process this is. You know, pulverizer will get 4 nether diamond, but we don't have that yet. Don't have laser drill. Those are our, well, those are just for dense ore. Okay, that's for making it from dense. I don't want that. So grindstone gets diamond dust. Definitely don't want that. Smelting gets 2 diamond ore. Redstone furnace gets 2 diamond ore. Pulverizer, induction smelter. Alloy smelter just gets 1 diamond ore, so we don't want that. Sag mill gets 5 diamonds. That may be my best option at the moment. Have I already processed? Oh, I'm getting a lag spike there. I may have already processed some diamond ore here. Yeah, I did. Let's just get 4 of those out and see if I can process it further in one of these machines to get a better result than just hammering it down. If I put this in the sag mill, it will process it. Hopefully it gives me 2 diamonds plus a shot at a third. It did. So that's a good way to go here. So it didn't give me quite as many diamonds as I was hoping. It was 1 plus a shot at a second, but the second comes a lot. I am getting just a ton of lag. I might have to stop the video and make another piece. We'll see. Alright, so the laser that I need 3 more to finish the quest. So let's make those. And the recipe for the laser involves, it's not the default recipe, it involves electrotine. Where'd my paradox go? Okay, that's bad that I don't see my paradox. I'll have to look them up. Let me find my paradox. Alright, I found my paradox. Now the recipe for the laser involves paradox, diamonds, obsidian, electrotine, and redstone. And the basic shape of it is the same as the default, except that it's got certain things replaced. It would normally have 2 diamonds, and in this case one of the diamonds has been replaced by a peridot, and it would normally have 5 redstone, and then in this case 4 of the redstones have been replaced by electrotine. So let me go ahead and make the laser here. And the next thing I want to do is, to get quest credit, I want to break down all of these lasers that I've got set up here. This is how I'm going to set them all up. I'm probably going to disconnect the power to all but one of them in the short term, because really I'm not going to be able to power 12 lasers at this point. Although I do want to go ahead and get started with that. So let me break these down. And when I have them all, you know, I bet I could vein mine these. There we go. When I have them all, I should get quest credit. So let's take a look. Yes. And we'll claim the reward. And we'll see what that opened up. I have high hopes that it opened up thermal expansion, but maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Yes, it did. It opened up the basic machine frame from thermal expansion. So I will be able to start making basic machine frames as soon as I get some power down here. And I'm going to use more culinary generators for that. Let me set these back up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect power here, here, and here, so that initially only one of the lasers will be powered. Now I made these conduits in the episode that didn't take, and they're made from the alloys that I made before. Specifically, if we look at the power conduit right there, it's made from conductive iron with a strip of insulated redstone conduit down the center. This is not the default recipe for the energy conduit. It does have a max output of 30,000 RF per tick, which is also not the default energy transfer amount on it. The energy in Project Ozone has been scaled way up. That was true of the original one, and it's true in the Reloaded as well. And so all of the conduits have also been scaled way up. So it's 90,000 RF per tick in the enhanced and 180,000 RF per tick in the Ender Energy conduit. I believe that's an even higher scaling up than the previous version of Project Ozone. So we're going to be generating a lot of power, and obviously some of the early generation I'm going to use is not going to cut it. But since this recipe uses insulated redstone conduits, let's take a look at that. That is redstone conduits with conduit binder. The conduit binder is a very similar recipe to the default. It's been nerfed just a little bit, but you get made up for that because when you make these, it's making 16 conduits instead of just 3. But these are made the same way as usual with gravel, sand, and clay, and then firing the resulting powder in a furnace. Then redstone conduit is the other item that's made in here. Redstone alloy, again made in the alloy furnace. However, at this point I have quite a bit of it that has come from loot bags, so I didn't actually need to make any of this in the furnace. That in turn is, though, if you are making it in the alloy smelter, is made from redstone and silicon significantly comes from the sag mill, and you can sag mill a variety of things with it to make it. It looks like sand, dust, clay blocks, and redstone ore, and I have been using clay blocks because you get most of the clay back, especially if you're using a piece of flint, so you can process it over and over again to convert a lot of it into silicon. These other things have a relatively low return rate. This is only 50% on sand and 50% on dust. So the other item to do on today's agenda is going to be to try and get something else opened up. One of the things that I was looking at for power was in one of the other chapters that hasn't opened up yet. Even though we can't actually do any of the quests to completion yet, you can still see them all, which is nice that the book is set up that way because you don't have to go and be surprised by what's coming up. You can sort of plan it. And one of the items that's in here, this one says it's a locked quest, and this is for the Solar Flux Panel 1. And if we look at the Solar Panel 1 here, first of all, it generates 20 RF per tick just passively from solar power, and that could be convenient at some point. It's not as much as I'm going to get from a culinary generator, but it has no inputs. And the recipe is actually pretty straightforward. It uses mirrors, electrotine, and a redstone chipset. That is not the default recipe. But the mirrors are, it looks like just some iron, or some iron and some silver. And the electrotine alloy ingot uses these electrotine iron compounds, which are electrotine around an iron ingot. So if I make a bunch of these, and I'm sure I will have to, because if we look at the recipes for these, they scale up using more and more of these solar panels as you go along, and this base panel requires 5 electrotine to make. No, it actually requires 5 times 8, which is 40 electrotine to make, and I bet that this quest journal has you going all the way through the whole progression with them. Solar Flux Panel at 11. So obviously the amount of electrotein that's required is enormous, and it's a good thing we're not going to have to mine it all because it does have EMC, and eventually we'll have the Philosopher's Stone, and we'll be able to progress in Project E, and we'll be able to just manufacture that stuff in blocks. At least I hope that the blocks have EMC. Let's take a look. Yes, they do. So even though that will take a long time, we'll just be able to use the stuff from Project E to make the electrotein, and that should speed it up. It'll still require an enormous amount of EMC to make. But the point of this is that in the short term, I'll be able to make some solar without actually... I'll be able to make some passive power generation rather than having to feed furnaces in order to run some of these lasers. Let me go ahead and put the table back down and then put some of these things away, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had another problem with the video software, and so there's a little bit of a break here. It's going to look like there's kind of a jump ahead. There is. Previously I was talking about the quest to get the solar panels opened up. I don't know which chapter that is. It's Zeta, which is not unlocked yet. And I think that what that's going to require is that we complete the chipset quest. Let me put in BC Silicon here so we can see all the various chips. Now these are made in the assembly table that was just placed, and they require redstone plus an additional component as a rule. There are a couple of things that are different. Let's take a look at that quest itself. It's in, let's see, Gamma. I think this is the one that will unlock it, except that I'm noticing that it does not say that it unlocks another quest. It will be necessary in order to make any of those panels, though, because the panel recipes themselves require a chipset. So, in order to complete this, I've got to make one of each of these different kinds of chipsets: redstone, iron, golden, diamond, quartz, redstone comp, emerald, and crystallized redstone. All of these follow the model of a piece of redstone and a piece of an appropriate component, except that the redstone chipset requires just a piece of redstone. The redstone comp chipset requires redstone and a redstone repeater, and the crystallized redstone is a redstone block. Now I have already set this up and got it running, and I've got two lasers going because I made another culinary generator. I brought down the one from upstairs and I hooked up power. So it's getting 64 RF per tick. One of the things that has definitely been changed in this, though, is that these chipsets now require enormously more power than the default. So I've got to come up with a lot of power, and at 32 RF per tick per generator, so 64 RF total, it's going to take a long time to make these. So what I really want to do, I've already loaded it up with all the components, as you can see. I did that in the piece of video that got lost. I did figure out why it got lost, and I'm hoping that that will not happen again. What I need to do is I need to generate more power. And of course you always need more power anytime you're playing one of these mod packs, because power is an essential part of the progression. So what I want to do is I want to set up more culinary generators. So let's go ahead, and I've got my materials ready. The culinary generator starts with a survivalist generator, which, if I remember, is something like I'll have to look this up in a minute probably to confirm, but it's something like this. Maybe if I do that and put the iron across somewhere. No, let's just look it up. That's basically right, except that I need that. Okay, so I'll make 8 of these, and the way you get the culinary generator, and I do remember that one, is just from upgrading this one like that. So redstone and iron with another furnace and a survivalist generator in the center. So here's 8 more culinary generators. So we should be able to get a fair amount more power. Let me go ahead and get my conduits out of here. And I'm just going to hook up some more of these generators. I'll just put 6 of them down here for now, even though this is where the real power drain is, because I'm going to need some upstairs where I'm sieving ore as well. Incidentally, all the redstone for that came from the nether ores that I got. I ground them up in a sag mill to get lots and lots of stuff. And I need to redistribute my bread a little better. That wasn't better. Alright, across 6 spaces. Then we'll do the same thing here across 6 spaces. I'll just leave 2 for me to eat, because I will have more pretty quickly. That still didn't distribute quite evenly, but I will set up some conduits and a chest here and just stuff it full of bread and have it distribute into all of the generators all the time anyway. So I should have more power coming in now. 32 times 8, that's 256, I think, something like that. So let me hook up some more lasers here. So we've got 6 lasers going, and the amount of power coming in is 240. So I can actually go ahead and put in one more laser. And that one probably won't be quite at full power. So it says it's at 280. There may have been a little bit of a backlog, but it's moving along now. It looks like it has finished its first chipset, so we've got the quartz one. And this is going to have to go for a while because it's going to take a long time to make all of those chipsets, every last one of them here, and there are a bunch of them. But the good thing is we'll be able to make solar panels, we'll be able to we'll save a lot of resources on making storage drawers, and logistics pipes will probably be ready to get started on that as well. So that is going to do quite well for getting going here. Let me take this upstairs and hook these generators up, because I've been stealing generators from here. What I'm probably going to do on the bread production between episodes is I'll set up one more sag mill and 2 more alloy smelteries, and I will automate the production of toast sandwiches, which is the item you just saw me making there. That way I will just have to harvest the wheat and put it in a barrel somewhere, and I will have all of the wheat that I need at that point. Or all of the toast sandwiches made automatically, and I won't have to supervise the production. That'll be convenient. I do have a wheat field set up here. This is all 10-10-10 wheat, so I get a stack every time I harvest this, which is about 2.5 stacks of flour. So a stack and a quarter of toast sandwiches, which is actually a pretty good rate of generating fuel. The other thing I've got going on here, this is kind of an interesting little aside. I had never seen this mod before. This is the carrot mod. And what you do is you grow these carrots that come from these special seeds. I got the seeds just from breaking grass. And when they're mature, you get more seeds back, and you get a carrot. And this one was grown on emerald, so this is the 20 carat carrot. it has regeneration for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So you're growing carrots that serve as potions, basically. And there are a number of different ones. I have not actually put all of the vanilla ores here to try and see what they all are. This is just a selection that I got. But there are several of them, and I've accumulated them. Here's one for haste. I think that one's from coal. Fire resistance from iron. Speed from redstone. Water breathing from lapis. This one was regeneration again. That was from emerald. A bunch of stuff from diamond. Resistance, strength, and health boost, plus a very short-term regeneration. That one is from the diamond carrot. So there are several of these. I don't know how useful they're going to be. I don't know how much automation you can do with them. But it is an interesting idea here. I think that one of them was the, let's see, the iron one. They have EMC on them. The iron one appears to have been the best for EMC. I think it's got, well, it's just got 64. It seems like there was one that was a little more than the rest, but maybe not. They're all like 64 EMC. Don't have to worry too much about EMC at the moment. I did take a look at the recipe for the Philosopher's Stone in here. It's a little bit ridiculous. We won't be making that anytime soon. It uses the Extreme Crafting Table from the Avaricia mod, and it's got a ton of, it looks like, Botania and Applied Energistics components going in it, as well as a Nether Star in the middle. So that's not going to be ready for a while, but it is interesting to see that it is in there, and eventually we'll get to it. So I think that's really going to sum up this episode. I'm sorry for some of the discontinuity and the breaks. I had some video problems. I have resolved them, at least temporarily, so I think that there'll be less of that in the next episode. And in that next episode, I really want to start looking at logistics pipes, I think, because I need to start getting all of that chest sorting done, because there's just so much clutter going on and it's hard to deal with everything. So until then, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I will see you next episode.